Hi everyone, welcome to my channel where I discuss all things human design. On today's episode, I'll be speaking about manifestors, one of 5 human design types. Over the years, I've had the opportunity to work with hundreds of manifestors who have really inspired me to create a video all about them. If you're a manifestor, please let me know in the comments below, and if you have no idea what I'm talking about, I've linked several resources in the description box below where you can find out your human design type for free. Lastly, before I dive in, don't forget to hit the subscribe button to be notified as I put out new human design videos twice a week. As you may have noticed from the title of this video, today I really want to focus on manifestors from the perspective of real talk. And what I mean by this is really giving real life context and examples to how the manifestor human design type shows up in this lifetime. In human design, manifestors only make up about 8% of the population, so they're fundamentally different from the other energy types. Their strategy is to initiate, their not self theme is anger, they don't create their own energy, they have what's called a selective aura, and their signature is peace. These are all facts and information that you can find online, but I'm really going to dig into the real life examples of what does this actually mean. So, for example, let's start with the strategy. Manifestors are here to initiate. However, oftentimes, because of the conditioning of society, they may shrink themselves and not necessarily initiate as they want to. When I say initiating, I don't mean to just go after aimlessly and start initiating and bossing people around. I really mean answering to those spontaneous calls. When a manifestor can explain the why behind why they want to go after something, why they want to travel somewhere, why they want to learn a language, that's usually the indication from the universe to go after it. It's kind of that special, unique situation where you have this spontaneous urge that you cannot explain. And so rather than sort of focusing on that conditioning of, society and trying to explain yourself, focus on just answering to those calls and seeing what happens. The not self theme of a manifestor is anger. And this is how manifestors feel when they're not necessarily in their alignment. We all have not self themes, and the not self theme is sort of the universe's way of nudging us and helping us learn or see that we're not necessarily in alignment with our true purpose. It's kind of like a redirect. It's the universe redirecting us to choose again or to operate from a place of more alignment. So to get back to the strategy. I always tell people, if they're just learning about human design, to focus on really understanding your strategy and your not self theme. And from there, you can really create a lot of alignment and sort of flow into your own life as well as the lives of others. And then you can get into all of your chart and really understanding how you show up. Manifestors are here to initiate, answer to those spontaneous calls, and their not self theme is anger, which is how they might be feeling when they're not necessarily operating from their strategy. If we take a look at what it means to have a selective aura, this is something that manifestors find out about and then they think that they're doomed or that this is a bad thing, that there's a negative connotation with having a selective aura. But I often like to remind manifestors that this is kind of like having a built-in BS detector. You don't have to worry about people liking you or worrying about getting people to show up for something. You just have to trust that the universe is always sending you the right people. In childhood, this could have been extremely confusing because a lot of times a manifestor child will try to force others to join them or to force other children to like them, or they might not get invited as often. And this is because, again, energetically, manifestors only make up 8% of the population. They are very different, and sometimes initiating is not as popular as just following the rest of the crowd. But when a manifestor really answers to this and stops trying to force situations or control situations and really lives in their alignment, they're able to show up as their best self and attract the right people in energetically. So if we take a look at an example, let's say that you're a manifestor and you're driving from Boston to New York. You cannot force people to come in that car with you, but you can put it out there that you're looking for other people to join you on this trip. And energetically, the right people who would appreciate this ride, who need this ride, who want to go from Boston to New York will show up. And I always am really reminding manifestors to not worry about, what will people think, or trying to come up with a why behind that spontaneous hit where you want to initiate something, just really fully trusting the universe and showing up as your authentic self will naturally create the ability for the right people to also show up. Another thing that's important about manifestors is that they are one of 3 non-energy types. And what this means is that manifestors actually don't create their own energy. They get their energy from others. And manifestors really work well in spurts and sort of these bursts of energy. A manifestor might be working on a new project and they might work nonstop for 2 weeks straight, but then they're gonna need a full week just to recuperate, maybe not touching any technology. Even in the workplace, it might be most aligned for a manifestor to be there, to initiate, to start new projects. But if they're operating as a generator and trying to show up and work 9 to 5 every day, eventually they're gonna burn out and feel that not self theme of anger, which again is the universe reminding the manifestor, where are you doing something that's not in alignment or not necessarily in your best energetic interest. It's okay to take breaks. And this is something that, again, it's this misconception that we all operate the same. And while we all are in human design part of the same hologram, we are all so unique. And that's really one of the things that fascinates me personally about human design, is learning about the different design types and how each individual shows up. Today's video obviously was just a basic understanding of manifestors. I went over the strategy to initiate the not self theme of anger. I talked about that manifestors have what's called a selective aura. I talked about them being a non-energy type. And then lastly, I wanted to mention their signature. So we all have signatures, and this is sort of how we feel when we're in alignment. How do we really operate, and what is that feeling? And so for manifestors, it's this feeling of ultimate peace. When a manifestor is initiating and operating as their most authentic self, and they're not trying to, control a situation, they're not trying to overextend the energy that they don't create, and they're just really living in their alignment, they're really going to feel at peace. So if you like this video, again, let me know with a thumbs up. Feel free to subscribe. I'll be putting out new human design content twice a week. If you're interested in daily human design content, I actually have quite an active Instagram channel, which I will link down below. And if you have any questions about human design or specific topics you'd like me to cover, please let me know in the comments. And thank you so, so much for joining me today to learn about manifestors and their human design type.